Allbirds, are they worth it? Okay, so if you're watching this video, you probably have already heard about Allbirds. You know that they're extremely sustainable, they're great for the environment, they use some sort of special New Zealand wool that I actually have no idea how they do it to make their shoes, and they're super comfortable. They're kind of branded as the world's most comfortable shoe. Now, I've been a huge fan of these, and I've actually been wearing Allbirds for the past 3 years now, so I have a pretty good outlook on how these work after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, even after 3 years, which you can clearly see in this shoe, which has been beaten and worn out. So I have a pretty good perspective on how long these last, and if the super comfortable wool material is something that actually holds up long term, or if you're gonna have to be replacing these very expensive $100 shoes after 1 or 2 years of use. So the first thing that we're gonna talk about is we're gonna talk about style. How do these look? And I personally think these look amazing. These are actually my sister's. I got them for her birthday about a year ago. So these are about a year old. And you can see that these have held up pretty well and they still look pretty good. This is the gray colorway. So it's the gray top with the white bottom. These are actually my favorite style of Allbirds. I think they're their most traditional. It's what they're most known for. And these look amazing. But as far as style goes, I have gotten a lot of compliments on my Allbirds shoes, and so has my sister. So people really like these. They look really nice. They stand out above everything else just because of their unique style and the fact that they're made out of wool. And that's something that you can notice even at a distance, the fact that they look different. So I'm a huge fan of the styling, and you can see that they come in a variety of different styles. Allbirds pretty much releases a brand new style every couple of months, and they have them in some crazy colorways. You can get them in like salmon orange, you can get them in light blue, you can get them all over the color spectrum. What you can see here is I actually have 3 different colors. So like I said, these are my sister's. They're the gray on white, and these are my favorite colorway. They're kind of the traditional Allbirds style. These are the light gray on white. These were actually the very first pair that I purchased. These were about 3 years old right now. You can see that the bottom of the sole is pretty worn out. And then finally I have the black ones. Now these are just your traditional black on black. Wearing them with shorts, they stand out really well just because of the black on black texture, and they're extremely, extremely nice. And so as far as branding goes, you've got the back of the heel. It says Allbirds right there. And then you have the tongue, which has a little bit of their logo on it, and that's just about it. So it's very understated, very easy to wear as like a simple shoe, and it's not super flashy. The wool texture kind of stands out on its own. Now, as far as comfortability goes, these are definitely the world's most comfortable shoe. They make that claim pretty much everywhere on their website and their social media and their branding, and it is so accurate. These things are extremely flexible, as you can see here. They give off a lot of flex. They're made out of that special wool material, so they kind of like hug your shoe or hug your foot, and really it's just so soft because of the wool material. That's why they claim that you can wear them without socks. Now, I have worn them without socks, and they feel great. However, it is wool, so it does get a little bit hot, and your foot is probably going to start to sweat a little bit. So even though they look great without wearing socks and they feel great, I would recommend putting on socks, maybe some no-shows, because while it's extremely, extremely comfortable, you don't want your shoes to smell bad, and especially with the wool, the sweat will soak into the wool. It's just not worth it. So definitely wear socks with them, preferably no-shows, because they just look so good with no-shows. But they are extremely comfortable, and you can wear them without socks if need be. Also, I want to talk about their liner. So they've got these custom liners. I don't really know what they're made out of, but actually, made with castor bean oil. Who knew? It says it on the bottom. So they're made with castor bean oil, which is a good thing, I guess. But they're extremely comfy and flexible and soft. And really you just see the wool being put throughout this entire shoe, obviously except for the sole. So the entire thing is meant to flex and form to your foot. I don't know if I would recommend running in them. That is something that they claim, you can hike in them, you can run in them, and I have done a lot of that stuff. but with the amount of flexibility in there, it just feels like your foot gives a little bit too much. You'll notice that if you stick your finger through the side, you can kind of see it poking out a little bit, and your foot has a lot of wiggle room because of this wool. There's no hard exterior lining, but I wouldn't do any extreme activities in these just because your foot wiggles around too much. And you can definitely wear out the wool and make it a little bit more stretchy. So I would recommend, if you're looking at these as running shoes, don't look at them as that. Look at them as more casual shoes that look good and feel good and are extremely comfortable and capable of doing almost anything. However, I wouldn't do any extreme activities in them. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is their durability. So one of the biggest fears about Allbirds is the fact that they are made out of that wool, which is extremely flexible and extremely comfortable. But the natural question is, well, how durable are they? Are they going to last a number of years? And especially at $100, these are not cheap shoes by any stretch of the imagination. So you don't want to be dropping an extra $100 every couple of years because your shoes wore out. And these shoes, actually, I purchased 3+ years ago. So these are extremely old, but you can see that they've held up pretty well. Now, there's a little bit of flexibility. They're not as structured as they once were. You can see you can kind of push it down and stuff. So they definitely have been worn in a lot. But once you put a foot into them, it's perfectly fine. It still holds up against any activities. These are actually my kickball shoes. You can see I have not washed them for this video, just for this purpose, for durability. But you can see I use these for kickball, so they're covered in dirt and dust and mud and stuff, and they have held up perfectly. These are 3 years old. I wore these almost every single day for like 2 years, and then I turned them into my backup shoes. As far as durability goes, I'm extremely impressed, and that's why I ended up buying another pair and then buying a pair for my sister, just because they last so long and they do so well. You'll notice that the sole definitely has a little bit of a bald patch here. So naturally, the shoes do not have that much traction. I mean, you can see there's just these little divots and grooves here. So they don't have much traction as it is, but eventually they will wear down to being completely bald. So you don't buy these things for traction, that's why I wouldn't recommend running in them because they have no traction. But as far as the sole goes, it hasn't worn out that much. And so I'm extremely impressed with that because after 3 years of wearing these almost every single day, they really haven't worn out that much. So these are about 1.5 years old, and you can see they still have their shape for the most part. All Allbirds, after about 6 months to a year, well, you'll start to see this little divot in there, which doesn't look that great when they're off, but once you put the shoe back on, it fills out perfectly. And you can see, I mean, that's a good looking shoe. It looks brand new. So once it's on your foot, it's not that big of a deal. But you can see they've held up pretty well. There's still that bald patch right there. Maybe it's just the way I walk and my gait, but I think there's always going to be a bald patch right there because that's the most contact. But the sole's held up pretty well. The inside's held up pretty well. And I'm extremely happy with these after them just being 2 years old. So they've held up extremely well through all different conditions. And you'll notice that the back is still extremely hard. I don't know why, but it seems like there's some reinforcements back here. So all in all, if you're really questioning whether or not you should get a pair of Allbirds shoes, I would highly recommend doing it. I mean, the worst that you can do is check it out. If you don't like it, they have a fantastic return policy. If things start to get worn out and your shoes start to smell bad or something like that, what's nice is that the soles of the shoe are replaceable. Now they're not cheap, but after 3 years, I haven't even had to replace my sole. So it's very rare that you're gonna have to replace your inner lining. Now, Allbirds does have a fantastic return policy, so if you wanna try these out, they even say, try them out, go for a hike, go for a run, get them super muddy and dirty, and if you don't like them after 30 days, I think it's 30 days, you can return them for a full refund. So Allbirds wants you to give them a try. If you don't like it, there's absolutely no risk, no hassle, because you can just return it. So I think it's a great brand. They've done a great thing with these shoes, and they've made some fantastic quality products that are sustainable, good for the environment, and they're super comfortable. Now they're gonna run you about $100, which is pretty expensive for a shoe in this category. But what I found is you can find pretty good deals online, whether it be eBay or Poshmark or any of the other aftermarket third-party sellers. You can find some fantastic deals. So these black shoes that I actually got them brand new for I think $40 on eBay. And for $40, it's kind of a no-brainer as far as a good deal goes. So I'm extremely happy with these. I'm happy with them at a $100 price tag, especially a $40 price tag. So you can find some really good deals, especially on Allbirds. They've become really popular over the years, and so there's a lot of supply out there on the aftermarket market, on the third-party market. So ultimately, my recommendation is that you give these a try. For $100, they are a little bit on the pricey side, but if you don't love them, you can send them back after hiking in them and getting them all dirty, and Allbirds will give you a 100% refund on your purchase. So it's definitely worth at least giving it a try, checking it out, seeing if they're the most comfortable shoe in the world, because I personally have found nothing better than these. They hold up great after 3 years of use. They're extremely comfortable. They look great with or without socks, and they're great for the environment. So it's a good mission statement and a good company to support. If you enjoyed this and if it helped you out, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. It really means a lot. And if there's anything I can help you guys out with, just drop a comment in the comment section and I will respond as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.